Here's the breaking news into CNN here. ESPN has just released a statement saying it has just suspended the popular host Jemele Hill after a string of tweets about the Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. And these tweets included, here you go, Jerry Jones also has created a problem for his players, specifically the black ones. If they don't kneel, some will see them as sellouts. She goes on, if you strongly reject what Jerry Jones said, the key is his advertisers don't place the burden squarely on the players. And then in this whole string, she later clarifies some of her comments, tweeting this: just so we're clear, I'm not advocating an NFL boycott, but an unfair burden has been put on players in Dallas and Miami with Anthem directives. Brian Stelter is with me, CNN senior media correspondent. Nichelle Turner is with us, Entertainment Tonight host, who is friendly with Jemele Hill and who has covered sports for years. Former NFL player Ephraim Salam is back with us as well. And so let me start with you, Ephraim. I mean, she says she's not calling for an NFL boycott, but she does say in one of her tweets, a more powerful statement is if you stop watching, stop buying their merchandise. What do you make of this?
Well, the one thing I know for a fact is whenever you start saying boycott in the NFL, the NFL will respond. Now, ESPN has a tremendous partnership, very lucrative partnership with the NFL. So in any shape, way, or form, if someone's associated with ESPN or any other network who comes right out and says the words boycott and NFL in the same paragraph, whether you're saying boycott it or not, they're taking it as a direct threat. And they will make that call. They will call ESPN and let them know that they didn't appreciate it and something must happen. And that's what we see happening here.
Brian, what do you have from ESPN, and what are you learning about all of this?
Well, that this was a second strike. The first strike was that she caused a lot of concern inside ESPN when she said Trump is a white supremacist a number of weeks ago. That, of course, a very different kind of comment than to talk about an NFL boycott. Yeah. I think ESPN recognizes. Big difference here, of course. She was talking about a political opinion before. She's obviously a member of the so-called resistance, a voice of the resistance with her anti-Trump points of view. The head of Disney, which owns ESPN, actually stood up for Jemele Hill in that case. But in the wake of that controversy, everybody at ESPN was reminded about the social media policy, that you cannot just be putting out careless tweets that might make your company look bad or put your company in a tough position. That's true at all companies, not just ESPN. So ESPN is saying this is only because it's a second strike, a second violation of the social media policy.
But doesn't she, Nichelle, to you, doesn't she get paid to be a strong woman with strong opinions?
Yes,
exactly.
Yes, she does. I mean, and remember, she started out as a writer and a columnist, and she has a very strong opinion. She has a very sharp point of view, and I think her point of view is very necessary. She's one of the sharpest and smartest sportscasters in the game today. And I think this all started too. I just want to put it into context when a Twitter user asked her, "Well, okay, if I want to do something and I don't think that just stopping to watch games or is enough, what can I do?" So her response was, "Well, listen. When you go after the advertisers, that always gets people's attention more. And if you really want to affect change, then try that route if that's something you want to do." I understand what Brian's talking about and where ESPN comes from, and when you start messing with someone's bottom line, they get mad really quickly. But at the same time, I do feel like it was more of a conversation and not a directive by her.
This is the Twitter trap, isn't it? You put out 140 characters, you don't think it's going to be a big deal, you don't think the whole world's going to see it, and then it becomes an international news story.
Oh, I think she knows
I think if
that
she
the
had
whole
written
world's
a script,
going to see it.
if she had written an essay about this and given it to ESPN producers and said, "I want to read this on air," that would be an entirely different matter. If anything, in this world, we all need a little more editing. We all need people to take a look ahead of time, think through what we might want to say, and have the support. In this case, Jemele Hill would have gotten the support of her bosses to go and read that script and read from the heart and say what she really wanted to say. Versus Twitter, which is impulsive.
I think that is what she wanted to say, because what she was saying was,
right, I agree, but if she had written it down and said it on television, it would have been different.
Look to yourself to make a change. And if you're looking to yourself to make the change, if you think this is unfair, if you think too much of a burden is them, this is how regular people make change. We've said this in so many other situations with Bill O'Reilly Riley, what did we say? Let the market decide what's
yeah.
going to happen to him. Let the advertisers decide. So I think that was her approach, is let the market decide what to do. If the market says, if the advertisers pull out, if they see that the consumer isn't happy, then change will happen.
I think it's always a little strange to be talking about.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, Ephraim, I'm seeing you nod. What are you thinking?
Well, yeah, you have to realize this. So, as a former player, you know, people look to us as role models, and for us to have a voice and to speak on a myriad of issues. It just so happens the Colin Kaepernick protest 15 months ago is something that's a hot button topic. It's to, you know, bring awareness to what's going on to minorities in the inner city by the hands of law enforcement. And so, how can other people be involved, right? People ask me all the time, so what do I do? How can I be involved? My wife, who loves, you know, the NFL and loves watching, she won't watch it. She won't watch it because she understands and she feels a certain way about the treatment of minorities, the treatment of minorities in the NFL, about Colin Kaepernick having a job. So she has her own, you know, her own views, her own opinions, so she won't watch the game. So Jemele Hill was simply stating, if you feel a certain type of way, then this is how you elicit change. This is how you affect the narrative. This is how you get people's attention, and the people being the owners, being the NFL, being, you know, all that are listening, you affect the bottom line. And if you don't like something, when you boycott it, you don't buy it, you don't use it, you don't watch it, and that elicits change.
All right, Ephraim got the last word. Ephraim, Nichelle, and Brian, thank you all so much. Again, in case you're just tuning in, the super popular host over at ESPN, Jemele Hill, suspended.